one of the reasons why I wanted to sit with you now, I've been following Tiffany Henyard. Now, I grew up in Dolton. I lived in Dolton from early 80s, like 84
Mm-hmm.
to like 94. So I
Okay.
lived there for a long time. And then I moved. And then when I grew up, I moved back to Riverdale, lived in Riverdale, right off 137th for about 4 or 5 years. And then I
Mm-hmm.
eventually moved out here to New Jersey. But I've been following this story with Tiffany Henyard, and I've seen you. First of all, I started hearing
Oh,
about her a couple years ago, and I've seen you at. I've been watching all the board meetings for like the last year, and was kind of shocked as the rest of the world is. And I'm like, I never would have thought Dalton would be on the map, the way
it's
it
like
is across the
a
world.
TV drama.
It's
Like
crazy.
it's every week. It's like a new episode. It's something happening with Tiffany Henyard. It's
Well,
just nonstop.
you know what? And here's the thing. I wanted to understand, like, so I see, like in the press, I see a lot of news. They report on it all the time. They try to talk to Tiffany. They talk to board members. Um, but I've seen you at a lot of the board meetings, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I know Viv, and I'm like, I would love to talk to her to understand because I know you real passionate, and I kind of want to
Yeah.
get into your whole experience with it. So I want to understand, like, well, first of all, I'll let you just tell me like how long you've been in Dalton and your whole history. I mean, I know some of it, but
All right. So I moved to Dalton in, I want to say about, I was 10 years old. So probably about 88, 89. Went to Roosevelt Junior High, so District 148, started in fifth
mhm,
grade, graduated from there. Then luckily we went to Thornton. So, went to Thornton, graduated class 96.
mhm,
Um, I've always been in the area of Dalton. Grew up in Inglewood, but once I started like high school, that's when I started, building friendships and being around people. So I just stuck to being local instead of going to the city all the time.
right,
So Dalton has always been like a home for me. We still have our family house. I'm right down the street from it.
okay,
So I've always been just out here in these south suburbs. I know a lot of people leave and a lot of people are afraid of the crimes and everything else that's going on, but I feel like it take us to stop it.
yeah,
So instead of leaving the community, build the community. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
my experience.
Well, you know what, and that's interesting too because the years that you were there, you know about the white flight
Absolutely.
that happened in that area.
As soon as I moved into, so Tiffany's story is kind of my story, and it's really funny you said that because when we first moved into Dalton, we were one of the first Black families of color because we lived on 146 in State Street.
Gotcha.
So our whole block, like our whole vicinity, was pretty much Caucasian, and we were
Mm-hmm.
one of the first Black families over in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So when we moved in, people were still very racist.
Right.
So we had a lot of problems growing up in Dalton up until it segregated and then it just turned.
It just
To
turned.
90, not like now it's 90% minority, but back then it wasn't like that. So when we went to grammar school, I actually had white best friends. So
Right.
I really want to know whose Tiffany's was because she never tagged them. She never talks about them. They've never supported her or it never came out. But I actually like had friends in high school that were
For
white
sure.
because that's the environment that we grew up in. So
Yeah.
it's funny you say the white flight because she claims that she grew here and we flew
Right.
here.
Right. Right. I've heard
However,
that.
we know that we were raised in this community.
Right.
We went through the
Right.
struggles that she's lying and saying that she went through.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I've heard that too. No, it's funny. I've heard that term when I see her, and I'm like, we know all the same people. So I asked them a couple months back. I said, man, I don't know everybody in the south suburbs, but I know a lot of people, and I don't remember Tiffany Henyard. I said, do y'all know anything about her? Like, where does she come from? I know
West
she's a little bit younger than us, right?
the West Sider.
She's a West
So
Side.
yes, she's from the West Side of Chicago. That's where her family is at, and that's where she comes from.
Okay.
So she used to come out here and she had family that lived in Dolton, but she didn't grow up in Dolton. She
Right.
came and visited people in Dolton. Now I don't know when her family actually bought a home, but I know she wasn't here like we were as youth. So
As
like
kids,
from
yeah.
age 10 and age 11, age 12, she wasn't here. She
Okay.
wasn't here. She started out this way, like at Thornwich, I think in like her freshman year. She might have went to a school in 8th grade, but
Okay.
other than that, she didn't grow up around here.
Okay. Yeah,
She's not from here.
it didn't seem like it. It didn't seem like it because a lot of people, who go way back don't,
Nobody
say the same
knows
thing.
her.
You know. Well, what's interesting is that, with the whole white flight and how everything changed, because I remember, same thing. We lived on 142nd and right off of Indiana.
Mm.
142nd place. That's where my childhood home
On the
is.
other side of the tracks.
Other side, yeah. So we literally like Indiana Avenue obviously separates Dalton and Riverdale. So,
Right.
I guess that's the west side of Dalton, I guess.
Yeah, we
Uh,
on the west side, I think.
yeah, so I grew up there, and most of my friends, we all grew up over there, went to Lincoln and all that, and eventually Thornton. But so I remember the white flight, like, because I had a lot of white best friends too, and I remember the white flight
Listen,
around that time. You said 89, 90.
yes, when we came out here, my 5th grade year,
Mm-hmm.
all of my friends were mostly Caucasian.
Right.
By 8th grade, they were all gone.
Gone.
They were
Gone.
all gone. So
Yeah.
it's like I remember that as well. It's like that's when the neighborhood started turning and started changing, and
Yeah.
it didn't get that bad, but
Right.
that's when everything just went, in a different
Dark.
direction. I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and and the thing is that I agree with you. It didn't get that bad. It just started to change. And when I say the white people started selling their houses like
They sold them.
hotcakes, they was pew out of there. Like within like 2 years, like you said, yeah, by seventh grade, eighth
Yeah,
grade, there was barely any white people.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
over the years as we grown up, the thing that Dalton is still close to my heart. You know what I'm saying? Dalton, Riverdale, the whole area, South suburbs is close to my
Yeah.
heart. And it just surprised me when I started hearing about it. So I started hearing about her maybe 2 years ago, and
Hmm.
I was just surprised. At first, I heard, oh, Dalton has a black female mayor who's young, and she's Tiffany's younger than us. I think she
Yeah,
like 28,
Tiffany is like no, she's 40.
but she became mayor, and I was like, oh yeah, they got a black female mayor. I said that's interesting. So I remember hearing about that a couple
Hmm.
years ago after when she was elected in 2021, right?
I helped with her campaign.
Yes, and that's let me stop talking because that's what I wanted to ask because I heard you say that and I said I got to
Mhm.
talk to her because I guess I want to understand if you could give me a perspective or give us a perspective like how did it go from her starting and being this great candidate of change and hope and this you know um
You see me rolling my eyes.
his, historic election or historic it seemed like it went from something positive
It did.
went from something to be something crazy within like a year. So
Within
tell
a
me
couple
about the
of months.
campaign.
What do you mean a year? The 4th of July is when everything started. So she was
Okay.
inaugurated in May, and by the
Oh,
4th of July, she already had started overspending.
damn! In 2 months?
Yeah. So let me
Yeah,
rewind. Let me
yeah.
rewind.
Break it down.
So Tiffany Henyard, I met her through Jason House. You know Jason.
I know Jason. Yeah,
So Jason came to me. Me and Jason have always been, close. That's like my brother. All of y'all are like my brothers.
yeah.
So Jason approached me and asked me if I can help him with his campaign because he was running for senior trustee for Dolton. So I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Of course I will help him. And then he was like, well, we have Tiffany Henyard that's running for mayor, and she's on the ticket with me. He was like, so would you help us both? While we both campaign. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. So I agreed to help them. At this time, I was working remote from home. Once COVID hit, they never made us go back and transition into the office. So I was able to still work remote every day. But I
Okay,
had flexibility because I was HR.
okay,
Now, with Tiffany Henyard and Jason, I was working, helping them. Jason told her about my qualifications and my skill sets. So she came to me with Jason and asked me, do I want to be her HR director? And I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I would love that job. And she was like, she liked what I'm doing, and she liked my volunteer work and how I'm doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I'm a resident, and I have my master's degree in human resource,
Okay.
and that would just look good that they would hire somebody that's actually in the community. So I was like, okay, that's great. It was a pay drop for me.
Okay.
Let me start there. But
Okay.
with the commute and tolls and other stuff and lunch, I was like, I can do that because I'll be closer to home. I can pick my kids up. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just thinking about all of the positives that I saw
Mm-hmm.
coming with this role. Um, I mostly did a lot of phone calls for them. I had my sister, Monique, volunteering with me. We called so many people for them. We went to like all of the events that they had.
Okay.
When she did the inauguration, well, let me go back to the polls. So
Sure.
the way Tiffany Henyard really got into office is because she was campaigning right after COVID hit. Remember, after COVID ended.
Right.
So around that time, Raleigh Rogers had a stroke.
And we're talking late 2020 at that point, or mid
Yeah,
2020.
yeah. Well, yeah, 2020 because she won in 2021, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she won
Okay.
in 2021. So around that time, Raleigh Rogers had a stroke. It was very hushed. They didn't want too many people to know, but of course we
Mm-hmm.
knew. She was running against Ronnie Burgess, which that's the one that she's trying to appoint as her police chief. And then it was her. So those were the
Okay.
only three candidates that we had. So
Okay.
of course I'm on Tiffany's ticket. So I'm looking at her, I'm looking at the ambition that she has. She was very energetic all the time. Like everybody say, everybody that worked for her, that's true. She always have energy. She's always on the go. She talk fast. So,
Mm-hmm.
I deal with West Side people. So at
Right.
this time, let me just throw this out here for your viewers to know. I
Yes.
had a brain tumor. The tumor was 80% of my brain. I did not know that. And with the tumor, it was causing me like a personality change, kind of sort of, where I was being very nice and like
Okay.
listening to people and letting people manipulate me. So when I'm listening to Tiffany, I know she a fast talker. I know she from the West Side. Normally, I'm up on game. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from Inglewood, so and I spent a
Right.
lot of time on the West Side, so I know game. But me, I'm just letting her talk, whatever. So get to the polls. I'm sitting with Ronnie Burge at the polls.
Okay.
That's her opponent, the one that she's trying to make the police chief now.
That's the person. That's the person. Just for clarity, that's the person she's trying to appoint now
Right.
after the
That's
police
that's
chief.
from Dixmoor. Yeah,
Okay.
because he
And
was
that
the police. He got fired from Dixmoor, I believe.
got you.
Him or his
Okay.
son, but he's not
And that's
even.
after they arrested the current, or not the current, but the police chief that was in. I forgot his name, but they arrested him. The feds got him now,
I
right?
believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I know Ronnie Burge is inactive, so he can't even be a police chief right now anyway. And
Mm.
back to the campaign.
Okay.
So I sat next to him at the polls, and it was me, him, and Jason's father. And we had a lot of conversation just about what he would provide to Dolton versus what Tiffany would provide to Dolton. Now, of course, we know what Tiffany's promising, but when he's talking to other people, of course, we're listening. So, I'm asking him like, well, who sent you? Because it all sounds like somebody sent him there to rob us.
Ronnie.
Do
To
you
my
understand
Ronnie.
what I'm saying? Yes, not Riley.
Okay.
I'm talking about Burgess.
Right. Burgess.
Burgess
Yeah.
wasn't even from Dolton originally anyway.
Right.
You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Yeah.
everything he was saying to the people, it just sounded like he was just trying to basically get into office so he can rob us. So we fast forward. I always said he was a plant. When we
Mm.
was there, I always said somebody sent him to Dolton to try and infiltrate Dolton. And of course, we working hard for Tiffany because Tiffany, 8 years as a trustee, was the best trustee ever because she shut
Right.
down all of the corruption.
That's what I
So,
saw. Yeah, when I won't go back and I look at her as a trustee, it
mhm,
seems like she was. It's interesting because she was the trustee who is fighting for things, and now she's fighting against trustees. who are trying to stop her from doing the exact thing that she was.
Say that again because I hope she watched this video and understand that what she's doing now makes zero sense. Because 8 years as a trustee, you're on video for 8 years.
Yeah,
You have so many clips and so many reels of you doing the right thing for the residents as a trustee.
yeah,
But then we have so many videos and so many reels of her doing the wrong thing as the mayor. But you know right from wrong. So Tiffany wins. No, let's rewind.
hmm
So well, yeah, she won. She won at the polls. So I am
Now,
still.
Viv, just on that point, real quick, because
Uh-huh.
I want to understand when she won initially, because I know there was a recount. That's from what I understand.
Yeah,
So when she won, did she actually win the majority of the votes in Dalton, or people just didn't show up to vote?
people did not show up to vote, and even people that showed up to vote didn't vote for her as much as they voted for Jason House. If that makes sense.
That's that's what I no, that's exactly what I understood when I
Yeah.
looked into it. That she actually had less numbers than Jason House because she always talks
So
about how.
if Jason would have ran for mayor, Jason
Mhm,
would have won,
right.
because he had the more popular vote than her. She just had enough because it was her, Ronnie, and Riley. So she
Okay.
had enough votes. That's why she claimed she won by 82%.
That's
But
what I hear. What is this 82% of the vote?
82% is just an inflated number, meaning that only a certain amount of residents came out to vote and they had a three-way split. So you had 82% of that three-way split, which is like just a certain amount of number more votes. So
Okay.
she did win by a certain a certain amount of number more of votes, but it's not like 82% of the residents came out and voted for her. Come on.
Right, because they make it seem like she touts that number a lot. I've seen her say, well, who won 82% of the vote? And
Because it's
Dalton,
verifiable. That's one of the things that she can actually verify, that she did win 82%, but it's
but
not
the
like she's
context ain't
saying
there
it.
though. But
Exactly.
the
You get
context ain't there because now Dalton, for people who
it.
understand, Dalton, if I have the numbers right, is about 20,000 people roughly,
About
right?
21,000. That's what the last estimate was.
So
But
21,000.
people are leaving Dalton like crazy. But yeah, we'll say
But
20.
of the 21,000, let's just say it's 20,000 rounded off.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, of the 20,000, this is during COVID. So how much do they know how many people voted?
1,500 votes, I believe.
How many?
I think she had like 1,500 votes.
So most of the people didn't vote
No, absolutely not. They
of
didn't come
20,000.
out to vote. No.
Because you got to figure if it's 20,000 people, the voting age group of the 20,000, it got to be at least half, right?
You got to realize that most people rent. Renters don't care about property and property taxes. So renters are not vested in the community. So since they're not vested in the community, they don't care about going to cast their vote. But when things are going wrong in the community, that's when they complain and want to gripe. However, you guys never go out and vote and you never exercise your right to vote. So you kind of deserve the corruption that we're getting.
Mm,
However, us residents that have been fighting hard, we go out and vote and we try and make sure that we can make change. So
hmm.
therefore, this next election, we definitely going clean house 2025.
Yes.
However, people have to get out and vote. But no, she didn't get that many votes. She
No,
just it's inflated because of the voter turnout was low.
it sounds good, and I think people who aren't part of the community, when they hear that, they say, well, if 82% of y'all voted for her, then how could y'all be complaining? Because they're thinking that it's 82% of 20,000, um,
Absolutely, and it's not.
which is
It's probably not even 20,000 people in Dalton anymore. If they do a new census, I think that number would be different. But
I'm sure have been people leaving now with the recount. What happened with the recount? 'Cause I know they had a
you know,
recount.
the recall.
Oh, excuse me, the recall. Sorry, the
Okay.
recall.
Okay, so with the recall, we went out, we got petitions signed, made sure that we had enough petitions to get the recall vote. They had it on the next election, which was the township election. So,
Okay,
but they still had trustees seats that was up for Dalton, so they was
right.
part of that election. So it's like,
Okay,
who's that? Steve and Andrew Holmes' seat was up, and
okay,
so they had the special election, so they was able to put the questions on that ballot because it pertained to Dolton. They had
Okay.
three questions. I can't exactly remember what the questions were, but the judge said that the recall wasn't valid because of the way that the questions were posed.
Okay. So
So,
they were claiming maybe the questions were biased against her in the
not
way she.
biased. It's just a certain, I guess it's a certain way that you have to pose the questions. And they
Okay.
said on that election, it wasn't enough time to give the residents to really cast a vote. So they didn't accept the judgment. I mean,
Okay.
accept the recall.
Okay. And then
So
from that point, and now the recall, just for clarity, the recall from the time she got elected to when the recall was, how long was that when the recall happened?
the the year later, the next election,
Oh, okay. So she was able to be mayor for about a year.
yeah, it was the next election cycle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you were saying earlier, you were saying that, okay, so she got in and you said within about a month, like, how did it get
So you know how
so
she always
crazy?
talking about that wonderful fireworks show that she have every year that's just so amazing at Thorn Ridge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she came in spending over, so she have a budget. The budget was created, the budget was good. When she came in, there was a surplus and Dolton wasn't in the red. Dolton was
Okay.
good. They were following the budget. And the first thing she did was overspent on fireworks and fireworks activities, which the show that she had, I'm sure it might have been nice.
Mm.
However, she went overboard on the funds, and that's not right. So they just didn't want to approve that payment because if it's not budgeted, which
Right.
you see how Dalton is now, you can't
Right.
just go and spend money just because you think you doing something to give somebody a show. However, we have to pay for this. That's
Right.
like you overspending on your credit card. Now you got
Yeah.
overdraft fees and all that other stuff because where's the extra money coming from?
Right. Right.
So that's what she did. She overspent on the fireworks, and that's what started it all. They just figured out that she was just going rogue.
Just going rogue or sat
Yeah,
that early. And that was the board members initially.
yeah.
They were seeing that from the very beginning. So that's Jason House,
Kiana
Ann
Belcher,
Belcher,
Brittany Norwood,
Miss
Tammy.
Norwood.
Yeah, Tammy. I can't think of Tammy's last name, but
Yeah, I
Tammy.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Now
they all figured it out right away. Like soon as she started, she just started changing.
she
So
just
like even with like the job. So let me rewind.
yes,
So I sent her like a process document because I was interested in the position, but every time I interview for a job or a role, if you telling me that I got the qualifications, I still want you to know what my skill sets are
sure,
because as an HR manager, I want to be able to, actually do the duties of the job. So,
sure,
I sent her like a process document with just like what I can offer as HR, what I've done as HR, a whole bunch of like just detailed things. So she sent it to Dorothy Brown. By this time, she was in office. She had got inaugurated, in May?
okay.
So she sent it over to actually she was working with Dorothy before that. I'm lying. This was before she actually got inaugurated.
And
But
just for clarity, for people who don't know, who is Dorothy Brown?
Dorothy Brown was the circuit of the clerk downtown Chicago for like
Gotcha.
20 something years.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she was big time in
yeah,
Chicago.
yeah. I know the name. I want to make sure people know. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
Dorothy Brown helped with the campaign at the end. So
Okay,
I came on board when it was time for like the inauguration and all of that.
okay,
So during that time, before the inauguration, actually I was going to New Orleans. So I was packing and they were doing that. I had work to finish up, but she wanted me to do a video interview with her at like 7 p.m., which it was weird because I was like, why would she want a video with me? Because what
hmm,
do we have to talk about? You know what I'm saying? She
yeah,
already had like a stank ass attitude with me the first time I met her, and I always knew that like she didn't like me, and I don't understand because I'm a nice person, you know me.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
either nice or I'm an asshole. I'm this
Ain't
one
no
way.
in between. Ain't no.
There's no other way. It's a good or bad with me. So it's like I was nice to her and everything. So I didn't understand why she had. I must look like somebody her husband cheated on her with. That's the only thing I can think of. Because other than that, I didn't understand why she had a bad attitude, a disposition with me. I'll say
Yeah.
that. So she did an interview with me at 7 p.m. and going over my process document. Why are we talking about something that I didn't even send to you? You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? So she's
Yeah.
like, well, I just wanted to know, you sent the document and I'm looking it over and you have some really good things on here and I just need you to go over. So what I'm thinking is the stuff that I had, she was trying to implement it herself. And
Mm,
probably, you understand, because it was like a really well written out PowerPoint
right.
with like a lot of pages, the Village of Dalton in the background. So it was really well written out and it was really nice. So I'm just guessing that she was trying to interview me just to get some information.
Just to take some
Just to
information.
say, yeah, yeah, because it didn't make
Interesting.
any sense. So that we did that for an hour, we talked, and then after that, we did the inauguration. She just had a bad disposition that day. Um,
Interesting. So
it,
that so the day she was inaugurated, so do you think that she had like it seemed like she changed very quick, obviously, but do you think she had an inclination of the fact that she was gonna get a lot of resistance?
I don't
Okay.
think Tiffany ever thinks that anything is negative towards her.
Got you.
She's trying to use everything to spin for her because she wants to be the victim.
She's
Does
a
that make
serious narcissist, right?
very serious, very serious. So when Tiffany got into office in May, she got started right away, and she just ignored me for until I reached out to her a couple of times. One thing I don't do is I don't kiss ass,
Right.
and I'm not about to beg you for something that you offer me and I didn't ask you for. You understand? I didn't ask
Right.
for that position. I had a job. My job actually paid more than that, but I was
Right.
willing to take a pay cut to do the role, but I'm glad I didn't because who the hell want to be in the feds? You know what I'm saying?
Man. Well, so, exactly. You dodged a serious bullet, yo. Now, just for clarity, so people understand, so you were offered a position
Hmm.
initially to
Hmm.
work for her,
Hmm.
but during up to her campaign or up to her being elected, that was all volunteer work that you were doing,
Right.
essentially.
And
Okay.
I was okay with that because it was for Jason House. It wasn't for
Right.
Tiffany. It was for
Right.
Jason. So I would do it again. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? As long as it's for him and he asked me.
Yeah.
That's anybody else? No. But for him, yes.
Now I'm wondering. I don't know if you get some insight from Jason, but I'm wondering how did she turn on them? Because she act like they turned on her,
So
but how did she turn
she
on them so
she
quick?
just started doing. She went rogue. One thing about Tiffany is going to do what Tiffany wants to do, and nobody can stop Tiffany because if you watch the meetings closely, she always say, "Well, I'm gonna do it anyway."
Right.
So what Tiffany was doing was spending money and not telling them and not being
Hmm.
transparent. What she did was she locked them out of a key system that they needed in order
Right.
to be able to look up things. So as long as they don't have access to what she's doing, she can take whatever she wants. But what they got smart on is the warrant list. Because
Right.
everything you spend, even if it's on the credit cards, it still have to come up on the warrant list for approval from the board to be paid.
Be paid.
So
So just for people, so they can understand, right? So how it works, she's spending the money. So essentially, she's spending the money, let's say on whatever services that
she wrote
someone was.
a $500,000 check and sold some. I mean, she received a $500,000 check from somebody. No, I'm sorry, 100,000. I'm lying.
Hmm.
$100,000 check from somebody who she sold some land to that she wasn't supposed to sell. That was Dalton property,
Okay.
and I think that's one of the reasons that tripped the feds on her anyway. But
Mm,
it's just stuff
okay.
like that that she was doing corrupt. So she was like selling off properties. She was having vendors on the warrant list that wasn't supposed to be on the warrant list that didn't have RFPs. So that's requests for approvals.
Right.
So if they don't have a request for approval, then they're not supposed to be getting paid because the board did not vote on paying anyone. The same
On paying
thing.
anyone.
That's what she started off, like I said, with the 4th of July. So
Got you.
what she does is she goes spend the money,
Right.
she puts it on a warrant list, and just says pay it.
So just so the everyday purpose person can understand that, what you're saying is that, let's say a vendor wants to provide a service for the city of Dalton. What she'll
Mhm.
do is say, okay, go
You,
ahead and provide the service and we're going to pay you.
yep.
Meanwhile, then she comes to the meeting that's on the warrant list, and then the trustees are like,
What the hell?
no, we didn't agree
Yeah.
on this. We're not going to pay it. And then
Uh-huh.
she gets mad and says, oh, they already did the work
They
paying
haters.
me.
That's her favorite. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired of hearing that word, Joe. It's like, really, why don't she just sit down and just like look at some of her videos and just like give up? I don't understand it. But
Well, the thing that's so crazy about Tiffany Henyard is that, well, there's many things crazy about her from
uh,
what I've seen, but I don't understand how, when she tells her side of the story, it's like night and day. When you listen to like, if you're just an average person, you just sit back and you listen to the story, you say, okay, I'm gonna listen to the trustees and the residents and other people on this side. Then
mhm.
I listen to her story, and they just night and day. So it's almost like, how can.
So you remember you had that one cousin that was just like the biggest storytelling liar and always had the famous people that you never met and stuff. That's Tiffany. So Tiffany is a very big visionary. I give her that.
Hmm.
Tiffany is not stupid. She
Hmm.
just make dumbass decisions. That's
Hmm.
her problem. If Tiffany just took time to think things out a little bit better, she could actually did good and did right by her votes. But instead, she went in it with corruption and everything else. So with her stories that she tell from the corruption that she's doing, she's trying to paint a picture that it's not her, it's the trustees. It's not me, it's them. It's not
Hmm.
me, it's them. But they don't control the bank account. Only reason why Jason got the bank account is because of all of the fraudulent things that she was doing. Now they lost their bank account.
Right,
It's
I heard. Yeah.
so it's like she paints a picture and a narrative that everybody's picking on her.
Right.
Even to the point, and let me just say this because this is really on my heart.
Hmm.
She took my very good friends, Paul Roberts, and his wife. Well, his wife is not part of this suit, but we'll talk about Paul first. She took him to
Hmm.
court and said that he incited a riot against her. Mind you, we all was at the same meeting. He just said a speech, but because he said a speech and her little goons didn't understand analogies, they went and targeted this 70-year-old white man that
Hmm.
is he all he cares about is his tax money and what are you doing with it, why are you stealing it?
Yeah.
If she would just stop stealing people money, she don't understand that people wouldn't get up and have negative things to say about her,
Of course.
have
Yeah.
negative things to say because you won't stop stealing. And then it's to the point where now you know that your time is already almost up, so you going crazy, and now you got to get these budgets and stuff approved because you don't want people to see what's going on with the money. But back to
Hmm.
Paul, she
Hmm.
put a frivolous, I want to say temporary order of restraining, tried to get one against him. So they're in court now. So like they had court the other day, and then
Okay.
what her and her lawyer was trying to do was do mediation. How can you mediate a lie? Can you explain that to me? If
And
you
this is for somebody who spoke out
at a board meeting,
at a
but
board
it's
meeting,
a township meeting, but
a
she's a
township
board
meeting.
township supervisor as well.
Yes, I want to ask about that part too,
Okay, we're not
Tiffany.
gonna
But
get to that part
but
yet, but I'm just
but
telling you,
this is somebody who was speaking at
out
a
at a
normal
normal.
meeting, a citizen.
But the crazy thing is, this is what I'm talking about the stories.
Hmm.
The lie that she told on the actual court document that she provided was that he said a speech and he incited people to try and go up and fight her. I have a body cam that I wear every meeting I go to now because of lies like this. But it's
Mm.
like it's ridiculous that you are putting people in jeopardy of having to spend money on lawyers or waste money because you're filing lawsuits that are false and frivolous because of your stories that you're pinning out in your head. Why she trying to get this mental health stuff worked out? I really
Right.
think she have a tumor like I did. Something is really wrong with her because the stories that she's doing, the things that she's doing, she's not mentally straight. She's mentally ill.
No,
Why?
and Viv, the thing is that when you say that, like, it doesn't even sound far fetched. I mean, when I watch her, I say,
Remember how I was when I on my Facebook post when I was going through my changes.
yeah,
I was arguing with everybody. I had a
mm,
lot of things going on. I was saying a lot of wrong things. I lost a lot of friends behind it because
yeah,
my mental illness was my tumor, and I
yeah,
didn't know that. So I didn't know that I had a tumor until I had my when I got diagnosed and I had my surgery damn near. But other than
okay,
that, I had no idea. So with Tiffany, it's like something's wrong in her head. For her to keep spewing out all of these stories, because that's all it is fictional stories. So something is definitely wrong with her because you are putting people's lives in jeopardy every
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Every day. And all you doing is just drumming up lies.
Well, do you think something happened between the time she was a trustee to when she became a mayor, mentally, or was it just being power drunk?
Power drunk. I think she's mount power drunk, but I really do think something mentally is wrong with her. And so these stories that she tells are lies that she believes. And I can't say if she's schizophrenic, bipolar, have a tumor. Something is wrong with her in her
Something's
head,
going
though.
on there. I want to ask you a couple of things. Now, with Stan Brown and Andrew Holmes, and there's a loyalty there with them. So, what is it about them, if you wouldn't mind?
Stan Brown have been with her since the very beginning, to where he was eating Tiffany's burgers when
Yes,
she
the
had the
Good Burger thing.
bad burger. Yes.
Yes.
So Stan groomed her. Stan knew what he was doing. The thing about Stan is Stan has been a politician and been doing other but he's been part of the political world and been doing
Hmm.
other things in the political world for years now. With him and Tiffany, they were always together on her campaign trail. So, and Andrew, let me just say, Andrew Holmes is a disappointment. He is definitely going to get his day in court, hopefully. But Andrew Holmes actually sexually assaulted Fania Dukes, which
I,
was Tiffany's aide.
I was
So,
going to ask you about Fania Dukes because I was going to ask
so yeah,
that case came up. It was a big deal. The
it
whole
still is.
national news was talking about it,
You
and
know,
then they kind
the hard thing
of.
is that everybody got to understand we doing all of this and we living our regular lives. So when she had them problems, she don't have another job or really like a whole bunch of means to get back to Vegas.
Right.
So after so long, when you don't respond, then they do close the case. So
Okay.
she have to get back to Vegas to actually give her side of the story. That's what
Okay.
they're working
So
on now.
okay. So that's I'm glad you said that because that was my main question. Is that so? I'm sure most people know, but they went out for a trip. I believe it was in May of 2023, right?
Las Vegas.
WGN Investigates has learned an employee of the village of Dolton accused a trustee of sexual misconduct while on a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas. We've been reporting for months on controversies that have clouded Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration of that small south suburb. The mayor, her security detail, and several of her allies went to Las Vegas last May to attend a conference to lure retail business to town. Now we've obtained a complaint filed with the Illinois Department of Human Rights in which one of Henyard's aides on that trip accuses a trustee of a sexual encounter after she blacked out and had been unable to provide consent. The woman says she later had been fired after reporting the incident to the mayor. In a separate complaint filed with the Department of Human Rights, a Dolton police officer on the mayor's security detail says he had been demoted for coming forward to say the trustee called and FaceTimed with him to brag about his sexual exploits.
So they go out there for a quote unquote business trip. Andrew Holmes supposedly or allegedly um, assaulted Fania Dukes,
Hmm.
and it was another cop who he was on FaceTime with
Yeah.
that he talked about it with after the fact. Now it was a big deal, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." The girl Fania has come out; she's talked about it, and I'm like,
I felt
"Okay,
so bad
Vegas
for
police is
her.
looking."
Let me tell you, this is my friend, and she's a very sweet young lady.
Okay,
And what happened to her should have never happened. And she entrusted Andrew Holmes. I hope she don't mind me telling the story, but she said that they were in Vegas. It was their
Mm.
last night.
Okay.
They had been, I guess doing a whole bunch of things throughout the weekend, and she didn't get to go see the strip. So if Tiffany Henyard probably kept her busy while everybody else is having fun and partying, because that's what she
Hmm.
does. She tries and uses other people that she just don't want around to do the hard stuff while she can party and have fun and live like a rock star on our
Hmm.
dollars.
Okay.
Anyway, so she asked Andrew Holmes after they had like a group dinner to go and walk the strip with her, because she said she'd never seen the strip, and she was like, we leaving early in the morning, so I want to make sure that before I get some pictures. So they walked around, they had drinks, and he put something in her drink, and can't prove what he put in it, or, but I'm saying he put something in her drink, and he could try and sue me if he wants to. Anywho, she woke up in his room and
Well,
was
we'll allegedly put like that. But
allegedly, yes,
allegedly.
allegedly, she woke up and was very woozy and discombobulated because she didn't probably never been drugged. Let's start there. Like
Right.
most
Right.
people don't get roofied, so
Most people don't. Yeah.
yeah, so that's not a normal thing to wake up from. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Exactly.
she didn't understand at that point what happened until he told her. But by then they were already on their way back.
Oh, so he told her
The
allegedly.
police officer,
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
and
Okay.
she had to hold that in. I don't even think he told her till they got back. I don't know
The
the
police officer.
yeah, I don't know at what point he told her, but he told her at some point, and she didn't know. Like she didn't even know that there was video. So apparently, allegedly, he made a tape of it and sent it to that officer.
Hmm.
And so when they went to Tiffany about it, I think they had the recording or something, because it was on the news like a while ago when this first broke. But he actually recorded her saying like, "I've been doing too much, and this will make me lose my reputation and my power, and this
Yeah.
will stain my legacy." So she was like, "No, y'all, please don't say nothing. Let me figure this out first." So what she did was
Tiffany was shook. She was shook when she
very
found
shook.
out. She.
She was very shook.
Hmm.
So what she did was she put Fania on. I believe she put her on leave, and then
Right.
fired her while she was on leave. And then the police officer, she demoted him and took him
Right.
off of her security detail. And then, they ever since then, from what I've heard, he, has a couple challenges, and Dalton police officers is so corrupt anyway.
Tiffany's version, Tiffany Henyard's version is that you have two disgruntled employees
Yeah.
who are trying to
So
get at her.
wrote that. Let's start there. Keith Freeman is the village administrator, so he's the one that sends out all of the press release to
Right.
the press. So he's the one that actually sent that statement, because that was her best friend at that point. So of
Yeah.
course he's gonna send some bullshit out to
Of
to,
course.
to disprove anything that she's trying to say.
Yeah.
At that point, him and Tiffany was like thick as thieves. He was sent to Dalton to help rob us. So
I
I'm
see.
so
Yeah.
glad that he actually know that the FBI is real, and he actually turned on her, and he's
Right.
actually helping now. But
Right.
it's sad what we had to go through to get him to
Just to get
actually
there.
stop.
The question is now you have Keith Freeman. The feds got him. The chief of police, the original one.
And him too. He's been quiet. So
That was his name.
Chief Lewis Lacey.
Chief Lacey. Yes. So they got him. So when I saw all the people around her circle, I said, "Damn!" I said, "It's a matter of days." So my question is, and I think many people are wondering, why is she not in jail or not arrested yet? So now I'm going to give you two of my thoughts. You can let me know.
Let me know.
So the theory from what I'm seeing is that either one, the feds are taking their time and they're gathering evidence.
Yeah.
That's one. The other theory I've heard is that she has some connections on the state level, possibly,
No,
who be suppressing
they're
her arrest.
probably suppressing. However, a lot of people that she had her connections with that went all the way up to governor have disassociated themselves from her, to the point where she wasn't even invited to the Democratic convention. Now
Oh,
remember,
I didn't
they
know
had
that.
that big convention, and everybody
Yeah.
that's part of the Democratic team was
Right.
supposed to be at that convention. and she was disinvited from what I was
Mm,
told, allegedly. Let me say that. But yeah, I don't think she was I don't think that they're supporting her at all. And what they're tired of is the every week something is on the news. Because
yeah.
what people have done was connected the dots, the DOTTS, as Michael Smith
Yeah.
say, but
Right.
people have connected the dots, and they know who been getting money and who what Tiffany been doing. So
Hmm.
it's only a matter of time. The what I think honestly is it's going to be after the elections.
Okay.
I think that they want to get that out of the way.
Okay.
But like you're saying, take their time. They are taking their time because they don't care that she's robbing Dolton. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't care about our community. They don't care about
It's,
that. They don't care about us.
it seems like, and then to that point, it seems like they're just letting her crash this plane or sink this ship as far as it can go down. Because I agree with you.
Listen,
So for instance, I'm on the East Coast. The feds just arrested. I'm sure you're aware they arrested the mayor in New York, Eric Adams. So
yeah.
they arrested him last month. And obviously
But how
they
long has the investigation been going on? That's my question.
who for Eric Adams.
Yeah, so I didn't follow
So
the beginning of it. So like how long have they been investigating him?
so from what I understand, they were looking at Eric Adams back far back as 2016, I want to
Okay.
say, or
Okay.
either 16 or 18.
Okay.
But he
Because I
he
heard
was
they got a
also
lot of stuff on him.
he was connected with some guy in the from the Turkish government, and he
Mhm.
he was basically just doing some favors for them. They contributed some money to him,
Okay.
and in return, he did favors for them in New York,
Gotcha.
in the city, and they were tracking all that, and but they did the same thing. The reason why I brought it up is that with Eric Adams, they started arresting everybody around him.
Yeah.
I mean, chief of police, the head of the board of education, all these people, and
Mhm.
then they went for him last.
You see
So
it.
I'm wondering, I'm like, every day I'm like, how the hell is Tiffany Henyard not arrested yet?
Yeah, so I don't like they got Keith Freeman.
Hmm.
I don't know if they got the finance director on anything just yet, but I know that if you read the subpoenas, there's a lot of things that they're requesting in those subpoenas that she cannot explain. Tiffany's gonna tell on, I can promise you this, everybody. She even going for Zuccarelli. And Zuccarelli is in his grave. Let that man rest. But you
Now, who is Zuccarelli? Just
Riley was the supervisor before she was appointed the supervisor seat. She wasn't elected. She was appointed by Chris Gonzalez.
okay. Wait, now let's go back for the people who don't know. So many people don't know. I'm assuming many people don't know that she is the mayor of Dalton and the supervisor for
The
the township.
township,
And
over
the
17
township,
municipalities.
17 municipalities along the south suburbs in
Hmm.
Illinois. So she's not only Dalton's mayor, but she's also the supervisor.
That means that I am truly blessed and everyone loves me. I love them. Thank you.
It
Yes.
seemed like a surprise to everyone in the room, just a surprise to you as well.
Yes.
Okay.
See, I'm still trembling. Like,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
What brought you to tonight's meeting in the first place?
To support whoever was going to be the next supervisor.
Okay.
And beg for Dalton. No.
What impact does this have on your current position as mayor of Dalton?
I can hold both seats, so I'm loving it.
Okay.
McDonald's, I'm loving it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the youngest supervisor and the first female. I made history again twice.
And you're taking the position of Mr. Frank Zuccarelli. Obviously, big shoes to fill. What are your thoughts on that?
I will basically lead what he has started. I will follow in his footsteps.
Dalton mayor, her salary I think is $50,000 there, and then it's like almost
200,000.
300,000.
Yes, she make like 200 and some thousand as a supervisor.
So how in the world? No, let me ask you this, because I don't understand this at all.
Hmm.
How? So she was Dalton mayor first, and then supervisor, or did they happen
Supervisor.
simultaneously?
So remember, Frank Zuccarelli died, so his seat was pretty much secured. So when he passed away, it's up to the board first. So the board gets to appoint someone, and
Hmm.
so they had a list of appointees. Tiffany was part of the list of appointees,
Okay.
and what happened was everybody, you have to have the popular vote. So they voted down everybody, and like at 11:58, because they only had to midnight to vote. So
Okay.
Chris Gonzalez was like, Tiffany Henyard. Everybody was like, yay. And then it was like, she won. Put it that way.
So
So
just for clarity, did that happen prior to her being mayor of Dalton or
no,
during?
she's already mayor for like a year. That's the thing
Gotcha.
about it, is she was in the newspapers and in the media every week, still starting around that time when
Hmm.
when she had that seat for a year.
Got it.
So they knew that. Chris Gonzalez knew that. And
Right.
he still appointed her.
And he's her main nemesis now, looks like, at the township.
Absolutely. He finally understood. I don't know if it was the subpoenas or his conscience. He probably, and if I had to work with her, it probably would just be my irritation. So I get
Oh
it,
man.
Chris. I get it. But
Just watching the meetings make me like, oh my God, how do these people deal with it? Like,
listen,
so for people to understand, so she was mayor of Dalton 2021, and about a year later,
supervising like 2022.
so Frank Zuccarelli, he was the township supervisor. He
Hmm.
passed away, and they had to appoint somebody. So
Yep.
Tiffany was already mayor of Dalton. They said, okay, we'll make Tiffany mayor.
Allegedly, she were having conversations in other rooms with people that had political power.
Okay,
And those people made sure that Chris Gonzalez appointed her and made sure that she got the votes to get that seat. So you
gotcha.
know how corruption runs in the South suburbs.
Yeah,
So corruption
Illinois,
runs.
period.
So corruption runs very deep out here. So they had already appointed her. They already pretty much, she paid for that seat, but she pretty much got it, and that was a huge bank account. You got to understand that Dalton bank account is like this. It was millions,
Mm-hmm.
but the township is like extra millions. So it's like
Because
she
like
has
you said, you're
two.
talking 17 municipalities.
Yes. So
Wow.
you have the Dalton taxpayers that you're stealing from, and now you in that township seat. And that's a big bank account. So, she had a lot of people that she came in, she fired so many people. Let me tell you something. You come in, you fire a lot of staff that's been there for 20 some years plus, and you clean house. You kept them positions open so you can show that you have a surplus. You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay, so
Because
that's
you're not
how.
paying those employees salaries anymore.
Gotcha.
So that's where your surplus is coming from, because of the people that you fired.
You know
So
what? I want you to pause there because that's a good point. People don't understand. So another talking point I've heard her say, to your point, is that when she came in, they were in a deficit. She just said that like last week or something. And,
mhm.
and says, okay, when I came in, I don't understand the resistance. When I came in, this is the township. Y'all was in a deficit. Now y'all in a
Now
surplus.
y'all got, how do, so I'm not the smartest person. Let me tell you something. But how did they raise $9 million? Because most of them grants they got
That's a great
is
question. But you're shedding light to that because if you're on the outside looking in
mhm.
and you listen to that soundbite, you say, because I've heard that before, and
She
I'm
keeps
like,
saying that. No, she said
how,
that at the last village board meeting that she wasn't supposed to have, because
yeah,
when the
that I put y'all in a surplus, and I was always wondering like, it's
and, but
confusing.
but Robert Hunt never ever. If you go and talk to him today, he's gonna say, "I'll give it to you," but he never provides us with the details. You know why? Because it's a lie. She don't know how to tell the truth if her tongue came notarized. So therefore, everything that she say is a lie for the most part about the budget and the surplus and all of that. But she wants to throw everybody else up underneath the bus. Why? Because she know now that prison is real,
It's
and
such
she's freaking out.
it's such a surprising story. So in regards to the township, when she says that I came in and I created a surplus, you're essentially saying that she got rid of a lot of people and the salaries represent some of that surplus.
Yeah, because if you have somebody that's been working there 20 some years, you know they're gonna have a nice increased amount of pay rate that they've had over the years. I don't know
Sure,
what their structure is for hired staff,
sure.
but they I'm sure they have a decent pay scale for them, because it's
Yeah.
still like government positions in some capacity.
Oh my God.
So Yeah, when she looked at that, she just figured that if I cut this, somebody gave her a workbook of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that exists, but they didn't give her she had the cliff notes. She didn't read the actual book.
it seemed
So
like she studied pretty hard. You know what I'm saying?
on the
Well,
cliff notes though,
on the cliff notes.
she didn't have the chapters. She missed a lot. But somebody gave her a playbook on what to do when she first came into the township. And
Hmm.
then you remember Zuccarelli was her mentor.
Okay.
So her and Zuccarelli was always close anyway. So Tiffany knew just about everything about the township. She just never worked. She wasn't like active like she is now.
Right.
But her and Frank, they used to spend a lot of time together too. So that was her mentor.
So she made sure that she was
Let
a
me
board
let
member.
me go back.
Oh, go please. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please. Please.
How she got the role in Dalton, I think, anyway, is because Frank Zuccarelli and Riley Rogers was enemies, and
Okay. And,
Frank,
and and just for clarity, I don't mean to cut you off. Frank
yes,
Scarelli was this Thornton
go back.
Township supervisor,
Hmm.
and Raleigh Rogers was the
He was the
mayor,
acting mayor of Dalton at that time.
active mayor of Dalton, who
Yeah,
eventually had a stroke
yes,
before Tiffany got in. Okay.
right. So him and Frank didn't get along. So Frank and Stan Brown groomed Tiffany. Stan and Frank Zuccarelli go way back too. You got to
Got you.
understand this political machine don't stop. So Frank groomed Tiffany because his thing was, if I get the youth in there now, because she was younger back in the days. I
Yeah.
guess she really wasn't. But anyway, so
Right.
he said, if I get the younger people in there now, then I can get her to be mayor. So they gave Tiffany the playbook on everything to do right as a trustee. That's
Okay.
why she did them 8 years. Them
Got
eight
you.
years that she was a trustee, she was doing that. She was very apprehensive, talking back to him and everything, but she was doing what she was supposed to do. So
So
you
so was she so when she was a trustee, do you think some of that was theater as far as the things that she was doing as a
absolutely,
trustee?
when you go back and look at it, a lot of it was theater. But
Got you. Because
I
but see, that's the thing. The reason why, not to cut you off, but the thing that is interesting to me is that that's what such a mind fuck, if you will. Because you look at it, I've seen old tapes of her as a trustee, and I'm like, how did she go from being that type of trustee to this type of mayor? But now it's kind of making
it's a
sense.
playbook.
Got you.
She was groomed by some very, very big political figures.
Got it.
He was in the right rooms at the right time and met the right people. And if you see her personality, she
Yeah.
knows how to tell stories and how to talk to people. One thing she
Right.
did, she had the gift of gab. So
Yeah.
Tiffany she gonna talk and she gonna solicit and she gonna come up and try. She from the West Side. You know what they
Right.
do out there. I got family on the West Side. My West Side family, you understand.
West Side a little different
Listen,
in the West.
they're a lot different. You talking about, look, listen, my family out west, listen, I don't even like going out west still that much because they're a lot different. I love them, but anyway, let me stop.
Everybody know if you're from Chicago, you know.
I'm a South Sider, so But anyway, so she was groomed by some very high powered political figures.
Okay.
And she had the playbook. Remember, Stan Brown never left her side. Stan Brown knew a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah, he
lot
did.
of stuff. That's why Stan keep flip flopping. I don't know if he's the informant for her, a snitch, or whatever. I think that Stan has gotten like wired up for the FBI. Can't prove it allegedly, but
Hmm.
he does too much back and forth, and his disposition just doesn't make sense in his trustee seat right now. Because
Well,
one minute,
I see him do a lot of like, oh, can we all just get along and do what we need to do to make things go,
but the funny part is he voted against Tiffany for the trustees. He was on that side because Keith Freeman started working with the trustees and giving them access to everything and information. So
Yeah.
he was starting to cooperate with the trustees. Then all of a sudden, they have a special board meeting. He showed up to one. He was part of that board meeting. But then the second special board meeting, he was at Tiffany's meeting. Because remember, the last meeting, it was two meetings, but Tiffany
Two
meeting was
meetings.
a secret squirrel meeting. And
Right.
our meeting was a legal board meeting.
Right.
So yeah, so
And
Stan
she's holding
Brown.
one at City Hall, and then obviously the trustees moved it to the Park District, where
So let's talk
she
about
doesn't.
these board meetings.
Yeah,
Let me
please
tell you something.
go
The,
ahead. Go
the
ahead,
board
please.
meetings at the Village Hall are, number one, they're not disability accessible. And you
Hmm.
know, I'm disabled now. I walk with a
Yeah.
walker. So that's important to me. To the point where you'll have police cars just all up on the curb and stuff. You can't even go up the little ramp. And I had to like pick my walker up the stoop to even go up there. That's when she had to barricade it.
Right.
So we started writing letters to the Open Meeting Act violations and the
Okay.
things that she started doing. And so we've been receiving response, and she's been getting basically she's been told that she has to have the meetings at Dalton Park District.
Because
So
it's going to accommodate more people.
it's accommodating, it's wheelchair accessible, and
Yes.
it's just easier for people, and there's more space. So at her board meeting, she changed the capacity to 42 people. So once 42 people enter into the board meeting, then she makes everybody else stand outside, and she won't let them back in because she knows that everybody's going to come and say something negative about her, and she doesn't want to hear it.
And
So
Viv, just for clarity, in the just to give some comparison, so 42 people at City Hall, moving into the Park District, how many more people would you say you could
you
accommodate
can
there
get
versus?
you can get 200. You can get more than
Gotcha.
200. They had enough chairs out there for 200 people, and it wasn't packed. It was a nice
Gotcha.
amount. Probably like 100 people turned out, but it's enough room. What she don't like at the Park District is that she can't really control the room because it's not the Village Hall.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? She
Yeah, and
has
then
to take
you
control
have
of
five times
everything.
the amount of people coming
Absolutely.
because when everything's going good, I'm talking for most townships, just
Hmm.
assuming when everything's going good, you don't have a lot of people coming every single month. But
No.
when things are going bad like they are there,
Hello.
everybody coming out.
But the thing about it is, it's not criticism, it's what you're doing. We're not telling you nothing more than what you are doing wrong. And we verifying it, and you're still lying to us. That's the
Hmm.
part. Like she always say, let me educate you. First off, you're not educated. You can't spell. You can barely have an intelligent conversation. So therefore, you can't educate people that's already educated. Do you
No,
understand what I'm
definitely not.
saying?
Definitely not. And I
And
noticed that another thing I noticed, and I want you to speak to this too, is that in
mhm.
the board meetings, why is the audio always good for her, and the audio is like shit
Oh,
for
because
everybody every
William
time?
Moore, William, don't pray for me no more, more. He's the one that.
Don't
So
pay for me no more.
let me get back to him.
I remember
So,
that one.
so they terminated him the meeting before last because
Okay.
they had to do some layoffs. The trustees.
And what is his position, just for
His
clarity?
position was, I think he's the director of the housing or water. I think he's over
Okay.
housing. I think it's housing.
Okay.
Housing or water. Either way, he's useless. He's definitely somebody that we can replace,
Hmm.
and he's the one that controls the audio at the meetings. So Tiffany gives him a list of residents that if they get to talking, mute their mics because
Yeah.
when my mic is muted, you can't hear me if you're listening to the live feed.
Yep.
Only people that'll know what I'm saying is like if the news is there or if somebody's going live on their phone. But other than that, she don't want you guys to hear the backlash that she's receiving. So
Hmm.
she'll mute a lot of people's mics in and out, and that makes the
Yes.
conversation hard for you to listen to and figure out as well.
So she's specifically making
She
sure,
does
because
that.
I noticed that too, because I've seen you in
Oh,
many meetings.
her people get up and their mics never, it's never a
They,
problem.
her mic always works. I've
She even
never
mute the
seen it,
trustees mic.
and the trustees too. Yeah, but her mic is always very clear. That audio is crispy and clear. I've never seen it where I couldn't hear what she's saying, but I've seen you, and I've heard you because you've had to yell to actually.
Absolutely.
I can hear you because you actually
But they
yelling.
be like, calm down, Vivian. I be like, well, shit. You know me. They view my
Well,
mic anyway. So let me just talk loud.
yeah, and you know what, and it's like, unfortunately, you have to go there just to for people to kind of even see the
Hmm.
passion and hear what you're saying because you're always muted. A couple of other people are always muted as well. And
Me, Thelma Price, Dan Lee, Sherry Brighton,
yep.
um, Alicia Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a group of us. Carl Wilson. That's the
Hmm.
one resident whose daughter was killed at Baba's July
Yes.
27,
Yes.
2021. So
Yeah. I've seen
she's
them
been,
muted a lot
she's
too.
been coming out to the meetings, and Tiffany's definitely worried about that because actually they were able to get the investigation restarted because
Now, for people who don't know, now I know a little bit about it, but that was a young woman who was killed by the Dalton police.
yes.
Okay.
So
So so what
the
happened
story
with
from
that?
their perspective is that she got in her vehicle and she dragged the officer, and that's what made the officer have to shoot her because he was defending himself for his life.
And that was a traffic stop, how it started?
No, she was at Baba's and she was in the drive-through and she ordered food and they gave her the wrong order. So when they
Okay.
gave her the wrong order, she had something because I think they were closed up or something, but she had something she was knocking on the window with. And I'm guessing they got scared, maybe thought it was a gun or something because it sounded like a piece of metal. So they called 911. Now, when the police got there, it was, I believe it was Officer Carlton and Officer Perez.
Okay.
Charges to my brain if I'm saying it wrong, but I believe those
Mhm.
are the two names. And they're the one that pretty much came up to her and had the situation down. One of them was in the car. So
Okay.
while she was in a drive-through, when the other one was talking to her, because if you look at the video, you can see the door opening. So one of them jumped in the car, and the other officer, the puncher, started punching her in her face real hard. And if you look at the video, her head like goes back a little bit, and she was scared. And then the other officers jumping in her car on this side. This is a 19-year-old at this time. So
Right.
it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. You at the drive-through. They didn't come. Now you feel like you're being robbed. That's what. If I was her, I would have felt like I was being robbed and drove off. So
Yeah.
when she drove off, he was not hanging on the car, and the guy that was in the car was already in the car. But
Okay.
what he did was he shot her in the body, just shot her for no reason, and he wasn't even being dragged. That's the crazy part.
Crazy. And they didn't even
So
like
they won't
tell
release
her
the
to get
body
out of the
cam.
car or
No, they won't release the body cam footage. I think she destroyed it. Honestly, I think that Tiffany Henyard destroyed the body cam footage from Alexis Wilson's murder. And when Tiffany went to make that dumbass statement saying that she's standing with her cops, that's the reason how she got the security detail. That's
yeah.
what started her being able to really rob Dalton because she was 24/7 with the security. And what she was doing was she was giving them so much overtime.
Right. I heard now that's something that all most of the news covered. I mean, nasty amount of hours. One
Listen,
officer I did
Officer Terry Young,
something crazy like 70
13
hours in a week.
he made one check was like $13,500. So you remember that currency exchange in Dalton that used to always be there when we grew up as kids over there
Yeah.
on 142nd. What is that? 140.
Right off of Chicago Road.
Yeah. So they
Yep.
were cashing all of those bogus checks from what I hear allegedly. So the FBI raided them. So you got to understand, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out when this trial goes down because
Wow.
that currency exchange is related to those checks that was cashed. And remember, I told you that $100,000 check that guy gave Tiffany, that land that she sold him had hazard whatever, it was contaminated, so she wasn't supposed to even sell that land, and he can't build on that land because of the hazardness and the contamination that's on that property.
Okay. Hmm.
So he didn't get his money back. So
And then was that real money? Was it a good check or was it
no, yeah, she cashed that
okay?
$100,000 check
Okay.
and kept
Okay.
it.
So she did get the money.
Yeah, and then so it's like it's a lot that's gonna come out in these subpoenas. But
Wow.
Chief Lacey, Louis Lacey, you're a chief. Or no, he was never a chief. Let me stop calling him that because that is not his title. I take that all the way back.
He was a chief of
Deputy
police.
Chief Louis Lacey, because that's all
Okay.
he could never pass the exam to become a chief.
So he was never chief of police.
He was never chief of police. When the chief of police, Robert Collins, left, remember, she fired him. Let's this police
Oh
officer.
man,
He
Jesus.
fired Robin Collins because his wife and my friend Sherry were friends. And because his wife was friends with someone who was opposed to her, excuse me, she took it out on her husband. So
Mm,
when Robert Collins first started, I don't think Tiffany understood who his wife was and that his wife was close with Sherry.
gotcha,
So
gotcha.
when she figured that out, she wanted his wife to leave Sherry alone and not be friends with her. But that's her husband that worked for you. His wife
Right,
don't work for you. So
right.
you can't tell his wife who she can and cannot talk to. So Tiffany,
Wow.
I don't know what the main reason was why she put him on fire him, but we been knew that she was gonna do that. But what she did was with her slick ass, it was something coming up where she knew she was gonna be in the news media, so she used him for one more board meeting to give a
Okay,
report. So his report can reflect something different from what the media was gonna show when it
okay.
talked about the police officers. And right after that, that's when she terminated him. That's why he filed a lawsuit against her. So it's a lot.
And there's a number of lawsuits against
Oh my
her
God.
in the township, right? Because
Listen, the township and the village. It's on,
wow.
and then some people are suing both entities.
And these are civil lawsuits.
Yes. Well, but the taxpayers are going to have to wind up paying a bill
Wow.
because the village is attached or the township is attached.
The township is attached. Wow. Because they
And
have
some don't even have any money, so people gonna be waiting out a long time because I don't
yeah.
think they can get insurance now because of that $30 million lawsuit that they just lost.
And the parents, I'm sorry, of the young lady who got killed, the 19-year-old,
Alexis Wilson, Carl
Alexis
Wilson,
Wilson.
yeah,
They're suing the city
yeah,
of Dalton, right?
the village stop, yes,
The village, excuse me, the village. I keep
yes,
saying
they're
city, but I should
suing.
know better.
It's
Village of
okay.
Dalton.
It's okay. No, yes, they're definitely suing. And like I said, they're just reopening up the investigation. So they do have legal counsel now that's representing them. And we're just praying that they get justice because they definitely
Yeah.
deserve it. Because she did
And
not deserve to be unalived.
and what year did that happen with Alexis Wilson?
July 27, 2021. The funny part
2021.
about that is it was the day after my birthday.
Oh, wow.
I was friends with her husband on Facebook. Like he's still my
Okay.
friends on Facebook now. But I followed it through her husband. Right after my birthday, I got really sick because I didn't know I had the tumor.
Hmm.
So from August until I had my surgery, I laid in the bed. So I was just on Facebook a lot and just reading his posts and just going through everything that they was going through up until I got like super sick. So
Yeah.
like that was something that just like stayed in my brain. So like after all of my surgeries, I was still like just follow him and follow his story. And it's
Hmm.
weird because the day that she came to the meeting to speak, that was her first time really going back outside in all of these years. So she have been like, and Tiffany don't understand how many lives she have ruined. You understand what I'm saying? You have
Yeah.
people that have family members that are in pain because
Yeah.
of your poor decisions.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't even care. That's the part about it that I don't like about her is that you don't even care to the point where she had people coming up to the board meetings talking bad on Alexis when she know that Carl Wilson's mom would be there.
Mm.
Alexis' mom was there. So it's just like, how evil
Yeah.
are you? This is
Yeah.
why. This is why
I've
we
seen the
won't stop.
mom and the dad. The mom and the dad. I'm assuming I've seen them, and they always come up there with a picture and they talk
Yes,
about it. And
yes,
they mess with their microphones too. I noticed.
absolutely, absolutely. Tiffany is she's she's different. Let me just say that she's different. And the thing about her is, I don't know if she know that I'm not stupid, but I hope she's watching this. I would just like to say I don't understand why she always try and have her people sit next to me.
Oh, really?
I swear to God, you can ask any of the residents at every single meeting. Somebody is trying to sit close to me, and it makes no sense because these are her people. Keep your people back. But she, like at the township meeting, she had her security. I swear to God, she told him, watch her, keep an eye on her right there. And he sat
Mm-hmm.
right next to me. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at if you go back and look at my footage, him and Alicia was having a confrontation. Mind you, he's in my ear. You know, I've had brain surgery, so I can't have all that chapping in my
Yeah.
ear because it frazzles my brain.
Sure.
So I'm like, you know, if y'all arguing, why don't you go over there? Mind you, I'm disabled, so I'm not gonna just get up and move out my seat. And
Yeah.
y'all arguing, but it's an extra seat right next to Alicia. If you want to talk to her, don't talk through me. You
Right.
know, but he jumping up and getting all, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. Like, I'm scared of him. First off, I got brothers and uncles. So you could try
Right.
me, and cousins. So you could try
Right.
me if you want to. However, you're not finna keep yelling in my ear and you talking to somebody else. So then
And
we
that's just
get
common
into it.
respect.
Thank you. Then we get
You
into
know.
it. And then, of course, the security comes and stand by me for the rest of the meeting. And he moves over somewhere else. But it's like, everybody saw it. It's all on video. But it's him. But it's like, even when we was at the last board meeting, her attorney came straight for me. When I tell you, her attorney, the one that is a legal appointment, came
Yeah.
straight and tried to sit by me. I had to put my cane like, no, the seat is taken. It wasn't taken. It
Wow.
was not. But you're not finna sit next to me. I
Well,
don't
I
even,
saw one. I saw one. This might have been a couple months ago where this older white man came up there and
that's Paul.
he he
Well,
uh he likened her to a dog basically.
that's
And
Paul. That's the one. That's the reference I was talking to. Where she's in court for that now.
oh,
So
okay,
that's
got you.
Paul, and
So
that.
he's the one that she's suing,
Yes.
saying that he
So remember how
right.
Keith Price, I don't know if you remember Keith Price from high
Yep.
school, but Keith
Yep.
Price, Kamal Woods, Kamal, whatever his last name, Kamal Leotis, and Michael Smith and DeMarcus Quigley, they all bomb rushed Paul because
Yeah.
they thought he was calling her a bitch.
Right. I did a little reaction video on that one, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I said, my girl right there who's going off. She was like, talk your shit, talk your shit.
Listen.
But those guys in the back of him looked
Mm-hmm.
like they were like,
They were
wait
trying
a
to
minute,
bomb rush him. That's why we was recording. If you noticed that we was recording the whole entire time because we wanted to make sure that anything that he try and do, we get it on film. And
right?
that's why he said he didn't want to go, he wanted to go straight to trial. He didn't want to do mediation because how can you mediate a lie? Again, remember, she lied on him. He didn't incite a riot. He didn't ask nobody to go up to her and touch her. He
He
didn't
just made a comment,
he just made a public comment, and that's his
yeah,
God-given right. And if he did tell
right.
somebody to go up there and touch her, she tell the vendors all the time, "Well, go talk to the trustee. Meet them in the parking lot. Meet them in the
Yeah.
parking lot." Why you always telling people to meet somebody in the parking lot?
Wow, she tell people to do that, the vendors.
Yeah, she tell the vendors to meet the trustees in the parking lot because they want to prove they want to prove their payments.
Wow,
Because of the vendors that she just pay, she pick them up and okay, you knock down 4 trees and then charge them $400,000. She do shit like
mm-hmm,
that. So then
mm-hmm.
that's kickbacks because that ain't no real work, and they
Of
not even.
course,
So they getting paid that amount of money and then giving us invoices that we never paid for. Kristen, shut the door.
and then getting mad because the trustees won't pay it.
Right.
And it
So
looks like she's
that's a
doing the
get.
same thing in the township too.
Yeah, oh my, that's why. Oh my God, Carmen Carlisle. I love her, and I'm so proud of her. Carmen was under Tiffany's spell for some years. When she
And
first started,
just for clarity, Viv, I'm sorry, Carmen. She is, if I'm not mistaken, she is
the trustees
one of the trustees who
at
is
the township.
now most recently. She's like, I'm not, basically I'm not
Yeah,
going along with Tiffany
yeah.
anymore.
I'm sure that the feds are in her ear. I'm not going to even say that, but I do appreciate her genuineness and
Hmm.
wanting to help and make things right because she know that what she did was wrong.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is that you have Keith Price that was over the food pantry.
Okay.
So now since Keith Freeman is not the village administrator at the township, she moved Keith Price into that role. Number one, you can't do that unless he's appointed by the board.
By the board, right?
So what she was trying to do is trying to make everybody give Keith all of the details and information that she requests, and he had access to things that he shouldn't have access to.
Okay.
So he was very, I don't know if you watch the meetings, but the
Yeah,
township
I do.
meetings, he always going in on Gonzalez, cussing at him,
Yeah.
yelling at him, very aggressive.
Right.
He shouldn't even have a fucking job because nobody should see you doing this on TV more than once. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So instead of her getting rid of him, she trying to force the trustees to make him Keith Freeman, and they don't trust him. You can't trust a liar.
Mm-mm. You sure
So
can't.
why would I give this liar these people's information when I know that they're gonna do something that I don't want to ruin my reputation for? That
Absolutely.
makes sense.
No, it makes perfect
So
sense. Yeah.
Keith,
Well, it seems like it's so deep with her, and
it's a lot.
just going a little further back, like what you said something earlier, and it's a thought I had about her too. I said, here you have someone who is around 40.
Mm-hmm.
Politically 40 is pretty young. 40 and under is
Yeah,
kind of young, right?
it is.
So you have someone who seemed like a visionary and wants to do things, as far
She
as
is a visionary.
you
She just
know,
she's fictional, not nonfiction. That's what it is. She's a
but
fictional.
it seemed like some of the objectives that she wanted to do, it seems like they could have been done, but just being a little more patient and just working within the budget
So
and things like
what
that.
Tiffany was trying to do, what Tiffany did was she came in, and when she started spending money, everything that she wanted to do, she just did it. It didn't ask the trustees. So like that ice rink, we have to pay for that, and we can't afford it. You have that Dolton Police Department at Melanie Fitness. You have that big Dolton Police sign up there. Where if I was a victim of rape or anything, if somebody was following me to the police station and now it's dark and it's not even lit over there, and you have
Right.
people thinking that that's a police station because you refuse to take down the police station sign. But
And
it's
it's interesting with the Melanies, I just followed that not too long ago, a couple months back, and I was like, oh, they want to turn that into a police station.
and she's trying to hold on to it, so she don't want them to sell it because she wants to be able to get that pool air. See, Tiffany thinks she's slick by trying to say that the kids need to learn how to swim, but if you notice, her ice rink is never fucking open. If you say the kids need to learn how to skate, why don't you open your ice rink? That's the village of Dolton ice rink, not Tiffany Henyard's ice rink.
Right.
But
Right.
she bought $17,000 worth of custom ice skates, probably for her and her kids and her
Wow.
friends and whatever. But she never even she never opens it unless she have an
So it's
event.
never open. So
It's
it's not open day in, day out.
no. And she does events for Thornton Township and Dalton, and then that way it's free and she don't have to pay. See how that works? That's why
Yeah,
mayors
yeah.
can't be supervisors.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why mayors cannot be supervisors because
Yeah.
they're double skimming.
That should be a rule
It
because,
should have been a rule.
you know,
It should have been a rule because you need to choose which seat you want. If you're
yeah,
appointed to this seat, stick in it
right.
because we all see the downfall of what she's doing. So
And you're right.
she's not doing
It,
a
and
good job.
it makes it you're right, it does make it very easy. If I'm the township supervisor over here and the mayor here, it's very easy for me to commingle.
I ain't got to pay the police department. I don't have to pay the village employees. I don't have to pay
Nope.
the public works. And they're gonna put all my events together wherever I want my stuff. I can use the township vehicles to transport my stuff. I got the township staff that's on board to help me with my events. She getting over like a fat rat.
And I would imagine she's probably the only person who's ever been mayor and township supervisor simultaneously.
No, it's somebody else that actually holds two seats right now as well. I don't forget
Okay.
where they're at, but they're in Illinois, but they hold two seats as well.
My thing is that I'm proud of black government. You have a town that's all black, and you have a young black mayor because
We
to
was
me,
rooting for her.
yeah, you want it to work because you don't want to be a black town and then you have a white mayor. It
Be a
don't look good.
failure. Like we wanted her to win.
Yeah, you want to, especially when it's someone young, and you say, okay,
Listen,
cool.
she was like
You
she said the first young. She was like 35 when she was 36 something, 37. I don't know because she's 40.
mm-hmm,
She had to be 37 because she's
mm-hmm,
like at least 40 now. But
mm-hmm.
it was empowering helping her with this campaign because I really felt like she would make her visions come to fruition. Like you would bridge the communities. Her goals
Right,
was to bridge Calumet City and Harvey
right.
and Dolton all together. That was a
Mm-hmm.
great idea. Her police in the streets, you know why that worked for her?
I was going to ask you about that too, because from what I gather, she used the police to intimidate people
Absolutely.
a lot.
All the time.
You know,
That's why I hope that some people have lawsuits against Lewis Lacey and win because he was definitely corrupt. All the
uh-huh.
cases that he did, they should overturn them. I hope that the family members of anybody, especially people that have always said he was corrupt, now that it's
Mm-hmm.
showing that he corrupt, be able
Right.
to get their justice because they
Yeah.
deserve it. And that police department is definitely have a lot of bad apples, but then they have good apples. You
Right.
can't blame the full police department because I have a really good friend that's on the police department that's just under stress, under duress.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has to listen to the orders.
Right.
He
What can he do?
he can't deviate from what they're saying. If they tell him Ronnie Burge is the new chief, right now he just got to go with the flow.
Got to go with it.
He
Yeah.
can't he can't oppose it and say I'm standing down. No, because you took an oath.
Yeah.
So we have good officers, the lady officers, and then you got to look at the illegal appointments that she made on the police department.
Yeah.
Because remember, some of them didn't pass their test, but she still appointed them and gave them promotions. And then the person that did pass his test, like the only one that passed the sergeant test, she didn't even promote him.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that I didn't know.
Yeah, she had a few. If you look at the appointments, she had a few illegal appointments that she put up there. But it's just like it's sad because she handpicked who she knew was going to help her in that police
Yeah.
department. She knew that she was going to be corrupt. She just didn't know that Robert Collins would not have helped her with all of her
Mm-hmm.
corruption. That's why she had to get rid of him and had to get Lewis Lacey in place to be next chief.
To be the next chief. No,
Yeah.
this makes a lot of sense though, Viv, because you have to say, like I said earlier, it's almost like how does a person go from being one way and did they just change all of a sudden? And
Mhm.
people change when they get power, but her change is so dramatic to me, so night and day. But it does make sense that okay, this is somebody who
Mhm.
planned to be corrupt. It ain't she didn't just become corrupt. She planned to be it. People
Listen,
just didn't see it early on.
nobody saw it coming. That's the sad part. I mean, people saw it coming, but to the extent of what she's doing now, nobody saw this. Nobody saw her becoming a supervisor. Like if you gave me a one of them balls, like I would never ever guess that in a million years that she would do to the extent of what she's done and the damages of what she's done, the lives that she helped ruin. It's just
Yeah,
like, and she don't care. That's the sad part about her. And then you lying on people saying that people want to fight you. Nobody wants to fight her. Not one resident. You know what we want to do? Get her to resign.
right,
All we're
right.
trying to do is get her to resign. Because if
Yeah,
I wanted to fight her, I could have snatched her up at one of them board meetings when she was standing by me. She knows this. But
yeah. I'm sure many people could have.
I'm not even thinking about putting hands on her because the police is gonna put cuffs on her. So
Right.
it's okay. It's okay. But it's just like we're just going to these board meetings to speak up for our tax dollars
Yeah.
because we know what you're doing with the money. You keep coming up with all these fake podcasts, and I'm gonna give y'all receipts and wait till I
Right.
spill a tea. And girl, you just want views. You
And
just
early on, I think, just going back a little bit, I remember when she did the Roland Martin interview, and it was like, and then she did the Angelique. She
let me
came out to New
let's talk
York
about
and did the.
Roland Martin for
Oh,
one
please go
minute.
ahead. Yeah,
So
please go ahead.
the Roland Martin interview, first off, he was a big disappointment.
Yeah,
His platform is bullshit, in my opinion.
I
And
agree.
the fact that you had her come on there, you let her lie. You didn't do no fact checking, none. And then when Jason went on there, you treated Jason like he was a stepchild and like he was just
Right.
lying and like you just knew he did something wrong.
Yep.
Roland Martin, I don't even think that he's ever even. I know Kiana went on there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like for that conversation that was had, like I lost all respect for him. And
Well,
like
he got so much backlash
he should
after the
have.
fact because
We was live. When he was live, we was watching it. We was telling him like all of the
oh
things that she been doing. Why you
yeah,
sitting here, you know what I'm saying? You're
yeah,
praising her when she's wrecking havoc on all of these people's lives. And you're saying that she's a good mayor? What?
and
That don't make
clearly
sense.
even with
Angela Yee.
the cancer charity organization that she, Tiffany cares, it was
I'm just the
clear.
face. I'm just the face. That's it.
Oh yeah,
How?
she's like I don't know who started it. People could start stuff in my name. I'm not gonna. And then you go and look at the registered agent is Keith Freeman.
No, no. You go and
Um,
look at the videos where she talks about it countlessly at least 10
she
meetings.
says I started a charity.
At least 10 meetings. But now you're just the face. And somebody loved you enough to put a charity in your name. Why would they do that?
And that was very basic and easy for Roland Martin to see that. Anybody,
Thank you.
that's not even a deep dive
And you know
to
that
figure.
they never responded to that subpoena. That's part of the fraud that she's dealing with now as well. The federal government asked for a subpoena on that grant and
Right.
want to see what happened to the funds with that grant and how it was used. And then they want to know, is that legal for the township to be given $10,000 to your personal charity?
Yeah.
So the FBI not stupid.
Yeah.
We're stupid, but they not stupid. So they
Well,
know all the right questions to ask.
they must be cooking up something really, really special for her because I would have thought they would have arrested her by now, but I
You know
mean,
what?
she's being
Everybody
rocked so
would have
high.
felt that, and they know what they got enough on her. But what my personal opinion about that is after the
That makes sense.
elections, that's when they're gonna start kicking in doors at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think. So she can keep on this little whatever facade she's trying to put on and show the receipts because now you see she's talking about, I'm gonna do a video and I'm gonna expose everybody and all my haters. What haters do you have,
Yeah,
woman?
because she
The
she did a
only haters
long
that you
Facebook
have are
live.
the ones that actually are speaking out against you because of the corruption that you're
Hmm.
doing. It's not that we're haters, it's that we're upset and we're angry.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how you stealing millions from a village and you was sent here and you don't even feel like you doing wrong?
The Illinois has bled a lot of residents. Same way as the East Coast. So New York had the same issue mainly because of cost of living. But
Oh
with
my God. I don't know how they
Illinois,
do
you still have cost of living because the cost of living is not cheap to live in Illinois.
that now.
And then you have the
The,
corruption.
the requirements now to have a house, you got to make like $1 million. It's crazy.
Facts. Yeah.
Listen,
No, that's real talk. You got to have a lot of money and then when you live if you're living in Dalton, for instance, like it's kind of scary to think about the person who's at the steering wheel of your city
listen.
is that person. It's just
And then our taxes keep raising. So you got to understand that, and it's not just Dalton, it's everywhere. But
hmm
the tax increase this year alone was ridiculous.
yeah.
It
I
was
heard Cook County
ridiculous.
the tax increase got really
And,
bad.
and then you got to take it all the way back to Chicago being a sanctuary state, all of the money that we're spending on migrants, all of that come into play on the reason why our taxes is being raised so high.
And I tell people all the time, like, yo, if you live in New York, Chicago, Denver, LA, some of the other sanctuary cities, and you in those cities, you'll understand it's a real thing. Chicago is in a $900 million deficit, from what I
They're
understand.
so far in a hole, I don't see how they could ever climb out. Same thing with Dalton. Dalton might have to be ran by the state if they, if they
It's
need
looking that
development.
way.
If they need to have a bailout, then the state might have to come in and run it.
Jason House. So when I saw Jason House, as far as just a board member, I'm like, why is he not the mayor? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Jason is so reserved, laid back, so non-confrontational. He's very well spoken. He cares.
yeah, I
He
can tell.
cares. And it's like this is between me and your platform. He
Yeah,
never wanted to be a mayor. That's not Jason's goals. Jason is just so fed up with the way that she have ruined Dolton
yeah,
that he had to just step up and say, okay, he's a senior trustee, so this is his last term as a trustee anyway. So
okay,
it's either become mayor or you have to sit a round out.
okay.
So he wasn't going to become mayor. That wasn't his job.
Hmm.
But when she came in and did all of this, he said, well, I have to do something. So that's why he's running for mayor now. And it's
Yeah,
crazy because she is so mad at him. And it's like a lot of people, she's spewing out so many lies that we have to get like verified and, fact checks to show people that that's not the truth,
yeah.
because she understands that he is a real threat.
I look at Jason. Jason is like a breath of fresh air. Because I've watched the meetings and I've watched him. I've watched all the trustees, and I'm like,
He's
I
so
love.
mature. He is like the epitome of what a mayor should do, because
Yes,
he is on his shit and he's doing what is right. And between him and us residents, we have set a precedent that most people are now seeing. I just want to say this because this is on my mind. So she actually had people sending me threats, calling me the disabled, crippled girl. Why don't I stop coming to the meetings, stop yelling, talking about they gonna come spit on my face in the name of the mayor. One person sent my cousin threats saying that they was gonna shoot my house up because I'm disabled and I talk too much. Just trying to attack me and attack like my character. First off, I'm disabled because I had brain surgery, so
yeah.
that's the only reason my legs still work. It just goes out. However, that doesn't hurt my feelings. And that's not going to stop me from coming to the meetings because you're saying that you're going to shoot my house up and do all of that. That just encourages me more to come out and speak out, because now I know I'm doing the right thing, because
Right.
now I know that she definitely pays attention to me.
My whole thing is that I was like, I want to help whatever I can, just put it out there. And I know that the work that you doing, even being at the board meeting and being passionate
Mhm.
and letting the word be out there is important because,
Right.
like you said, if people just sat there and just listened or they was mad silently, then stuff could just go on and on.
The good thing about the meetings and the way that this coverage is going is I get a lot of people that tell me, because of what we're doing, now they pay more attention to what's going on in their local leadership. And they said that they never ever would have done that had this not have happened to Dolton. So just for that perspective alone, I think that what we did really helped not only Dolton, but helped everyone around the world, because everybody is coming more and more aware of the corruption. And everybody is looking at the budgets and looking at, okay, well, if you had $2 million and you said you was going to buy this, this, and this, and place this house and this where, and where's the receipts on that?
It's woken up people to the point where now they paying attention to your point. So
Absolutely.
that's you're absolutely on point with that because now people are saying, you know what? Let me just see what's going on because sometimes you don't pay attention until things are bad. And when you really look at this situation, you got to say to yourself, not just the mayor, who are the people? Because I'll keep it funky. If it wasn't for this situation, I had no idea. I never really paid attention to local politics, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. It's this that really made me say, okay, okay, what does the finance director do? What does the board do? I mean, I understand it. It's not foreign as far as understanding the logistics,
Right.
but really paying attention to those roles in
Mm-hmm.
your town is important because you do pay taxes if you're a property owner. I'm a
Absolutely.
property owner too.
You pay
So I pay
everybody. You
taxes.
pay for everybody. You pay for the police department. You paying for the judge.
Everything.
You paying the water department. You paying everybody's salaries. So you have the right to question where your money is going. And most
Yep.
people don't understand that it's your tax dollars is making your community thrive. And then let's go to the businesses. You know how many business licenses she was holding up just because they wouldn't give her kickbacks?
Yep.
She even had Domino's Pizza on the list. She made Pepe's. You remember Pepe's that's over there?
Peppies.
Pepe's been there for so
On
long.
Sibley Boulevard.
Yes, they closed down because of her.
Wow.
She.
Peppy's been there since the 80s, maybe before the 80s.
Thank you.
First of all, like I said, I appreciate what you're doing there at the meetings, because you could just be sitting at home saying, you know what, you know,
I'm sick.
I'm sick, I'm disabled, I got things going on personally, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
to get out there and really make it to be seen. You ain't going up there just to
Listen, I have to
just for
do
nothing.
it because I grew up here. And
Yeah.
this will be my ending. I grew up in Dolton, and I've always been in the community. And I always felt like it's my duty to make sure that we keep our community in check.
Yeah.
And it's just sad of what's going on. But that's the reason why I stand up, because I don't want to see this happen again.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we're doing now with the leadership change, this shouldn't happen again.